Namaste Galactic family. Welcome back to my channel, Indigo Angel. Welcome if you are new, welcome if you are returning. Don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe, and also hit that notifications bell so you can continue to receive my messages. And welcome back family, come on into this dimension. Happy Friday the 13th. Fridays are a day for Venus, so they are a day of the goddess, and it's just so perfectly fitting as to the topics that we're going to get into discussion today. I'm really going to kind of extend off of what I was really talking about in the beginning when I was on JC's channel yesterday, and that was the desecration of the Sophianic body, and talking more about the Hydra system, the Tiamat body, and also the Black Madonna templates. And so I hope you guys are ready to dive in for this energy update today. And I am living down in the South, so I may look a little bit sweaty because yes, it is hot and humid. I just turned on my air conditioning, so hopefully that starts kicking in here. But so and I love it, by the way. I love how my skin feels here. I love just being able to constantly wear things that, you know, I'm not having to worry about keeping warm. When I was in Denver, Colorado, I had to 8 months out of the year carry a portable heater with me from room to room to room because I was so cold. And I think because my ascension experience was so extreme, I had to go through such a radical shift, a radical awakening where my body really broke down, my immune system really broke down. My ascension came through a couple different near-death experiences, and also just severe immunity breakdown. And so because of that, I don't hold heat the same way other people do. I would say my body temperature is always about like 10 to 20 degrees lower than normal people. So it really suits me to live in a place that is warm because it is very hard for me to keep warm and stay warm. I always tell people that if I was drowning from the Titanic, like if I was one of the people, which I do feel called to that as a past life. I mean, I've always been extremely fascinated with the story of Titanic, but I feel like I would be one of the very first people to die of hypothermia. Absolutely 100%. I do not hold heat. So yeah, I don't mind being a little hot. I don't mind being a little sticky. I don't mind being a little sweaty as long as I'm not in pain. And the cold makes me feel like I am in pain all the way down to my bone marrow. So yeah, I definitely feel like I'm where I should be. And as I stated yesterday, I'm really much in the Hydra lands. I am where Hydra is most felt in the grids, down in the deep South, down in Alabama, down in Florida, the Sarasota Stargate in Florida. That is a very Hydra radial dominated Stargate site on the Earth. So it receives a lot of transmissions up from second density, from the second density Earth fields. And so I am really in the thick of the rain and the thunder and the lightning, and that's bringing forth a lot more revelation, I feel, through the Hydra radial signature. So what I've gathered the most, the current energies right now working through the grids would be that celestial planetary alignment through the Hydra systems. And like I said, I did speak about this yesterday on the Jean-Claude show, but I wanted to be able to break it down for you guys in a little bit more detail because there is still a lot of aspects of the Sophianic body that I didn't get to cover. I was doing my best to kind of like sum it all up, to kind of give a roundabout explanation, but also tie it in maybe in a way that people that weren't familiar with the Sophianic body or any of the divine feminine identities and aspects of the Hydra template could maybe understand more. So I'm going to kind of dive in it more today in this energy update. I also wanted to let you guys know I did receive some really good questions from that video. One of them was about the mother goddess Anza. So thank you, dear divine sister, who was asking about that, because I honestly wasn't too familiar about that aspect of it. And so I had a little bit more time to kind of dive in and find out about the mother goddess Anza aspect, which is the it's another divine feminine aspect of feminine god technology. She's considered the great interceptor. And she is Father God Om's counterpart, as God is both the masculine and feminine principle. And so I'm just gonna actually share my screen with you guys. But yeah, so this would be the Anza, the mother god. This is just something I pulled up, on the internet. You can, easily look this up. But it's talking about her being another principle of the mother god. This is like the masculine god's counterpart, essentially. And that's essentially what the Sophianic body is. But what I was kind of essentially tuning into as I, was feeling this Anza mother god presence, is that she's more of like the flowing principle within the Sophianic template of the mother god essence, so to speak. And what's interesting is I'm here living down in the South, and it says Luke 11:31 here, Jesus said, the Queen of the South came from the ends of the earth to listen to the wisdom of Solomon. She reaches mightily from one end of the earth to the other, and she orders all things well. She glories her noble birth by living with God, and the Lord of all loves her, for she is an initiate in the knowledge of God and an associate in his work. But again, that feels distorted. That's coming from a biblical sense in which she's associated with God's work, and not really giving her that leverage of actually being the God feminine technology, the actual technology of the earth, right? That is suppressed and oppressed, that we're going to talk about today. So yeah, it kind of goes on about this a little bit more. And like I said, when I was tuning into it, I was seeing that it was more of the flow of the essence of the mother god that flows within the Sophianic template. Now, if you're interested in learning more about this aspect of it, there is a lady, her name is Sylvia Brown, and I guess she has channeled Anza for a very long time. And I guess you could find some of her works on Facebook. So I just want to give a shout out to my dear friend, Anna Gabriel, who kind of passed that information on to me as well, that you could find her channelings there on this essence of this identity, this mother God flow principle that flows within the Sophianic template. So with the Hydra system, guys, this is opening up some very deep divine feminine gateways in the hologram. As you know, I am all about Hydra. I consider myself to be an ambassador of this nation. I've been granted a lot of intel when it comes to the Hydra system to look deeper into certain places, even go certain places. Hydra has ultimately and extensively has hosted me on a lot of missions. She took me to Egypt. She took me to the Yucatan. She took me to the Serpent Mounts. And so I'm always seeing a lot more through the Golden Chalice. I'm seeing a lot more through the 13 stars. And it's interesting because, living down here in the South, up on my driveway the other day flew up a red balloon with, had like a little picture. It was the Confederate flag. But I didn't realize the Confederate flag had 13 stars on it. So I was like, I'm here, I'm having all of this synchronicity, and then just kind of getting confirmation. That balloon could have flew anywhere in the city, but it chose to come up on Indigo Angel's driveway. So I got to take that as a sign, right? But yeah, so essentially I'm just going to screen share with you guys again, because I want to just kind of pull up some Hydra symbolism here as we talk through it. But this is a good, so it's a good picture here. Yeah, this is a good one because you can see creator. So this would kind of be the golden chalice here. And then we have Corvus the raven over here. And then we have the head of Hydra. And I believe Alphard is up around maybe here somewhere. It doesn't have the celestial star is actually labeled. Let's see, here is this one. Okay, so here's the Hydra system. Alphard would be the alpha star in this star system. And you know, it's not the only place that the ET races actually reside in the Hydra systems. They are more so from Hydrobius, essentially, but Alphard is definitely, I don't like to say colonized. Hydra has always told me not to use the word colonized for their systems because they are multidimensional free thinkers, and they are free of limitations and universal laws in this system. And so they do not colonize, but they, you know, they do come together, essentially. So Hydra does start at about 1640 degrees Cancer and does work its way all the way through Corvus and Virgo. And you can see that here in the picture, that the body of Hydra works all the way to Spica, which would be going into the end of Virgo and into the beginning markers of Libra. So, you know, the tail end, it could potentially extend, you know, getting closer to Arcturus. Arcturus would be on the other side of Spica there. So essentially we have the Hydra body, the Hydra encryption that comes through several other nations, an emanation or a subatomic template that plays out through other star nations, recognition here on the Earth. So, I mean, if you are a Regulan, if you are from Corvus, if you are from Spica, if you are from, you know, the ending markers of Cancer, essentially you are technically a Hydarian. And so this comes through from July through September. This is the Hydra season. It starts with the Mary Magdalene feast day on July 22nd. Okay, so there's that. That's important thing to notate there, because the Mary Magdalene feast day kicks off the Hydra encryption. And that's how that bloodline ultimately ties into this signature within the full raw divine feminine expression, the eternal expression of this. And so I actually did a video on this. I will include it down in the description so you can go check it out, but I really do dive into the full explanation of how Hydra and Mary Magdalene are interconnected. So right now we are at an exalted celestial space within the Hydra system, right? Because as Regulus crosses through and overlaps the Hydra system, we don't have a picture of it here, but let me see if I can find one of Regulus overlapping. Let's see, Corvus, Virgo. No, not that one. What do we have here? Well, we would need actually a more zoomed out picture of it. Let's see here. Yeah, you can kind of see in this one. See if this allows us. Okay, so yeah, you can see how we have Hydra here, the body of Hydra, and then you see that star Alphard here. But right above it, we'll have Regulus. So this is the head of the lion that sits right over the Hydra system, essentially. And as Regulus crosses through and overlaps Hydra, we get a boost or a multitude of its highest and lowest expressions, its hybridized expressions, and its fragmented expressions through the grid structures. Okay, and this comes through in a multitude of ways. That could be archetypally, that could be according to deity, that could be according to demiurge, that could be according to an archon, that could be according to an archangel. You know, it's going to bring forth a lot of integrated aspects of spiritual expression. And the grids the grids represent the currents emitting the radial signature diversity or intelligence that then exalts the collective running reality fields and the shared egregoric, shared spiritual experiences within the soul groups to basically create life exchanges and material exchanges and movement in the physical according to these radial signatures and these overlapping integrations of them. And Regulus is a powerful stargate carrying the head of the lion. It is considered the green lion in the Philosopher's Stone. He takes a position in the 4 quadrant systems and represents a royalty aspect in celestial identities. And this is very much the emerald ray. This is very much the Archangel Raphael collective. Okay, there is a lot of Draco Anu hybridizations within this system as well. And so it's definitely a star system that is being used as a portal passageway for incoming royalty extensions of ultra terrestrials and ETs and spiritual aspects of the cosmos and the greater solar logos, both masculine and feminine. Okay, so a lot comes through with these celestial systems as they overlap here, like I said, archetypally, spiritually, metaphysically, universally, as Hydra carries all this universal feminine templates within her celestial expression as well. You know, we really see that coming through the Syrian Stargate, but like I said before, guys, that Syrian Stargate has been hijacked since the fall of Atlantis. And it is a representation of the Divine Mother. It really, truly is. But there is a merging between this good sister and bad sister. You could kind of think of Sirius as the good sister, Hydra as the bad sister, but they both are holding the keys to the Godmother templates here on Earth. You know, Hydra holding the shadow maybe aspect of it more, the demonized aspect of it more, the rejected aspect of it more. And that's why it's so important to bring the depth of Hydra forward, essentially. And so, like I said, Hydra really does carry all of those universal feminine templates in her celestial expression. And within the angelic expression, it comes through the seraphim, the winged serpents sitting closest in the angelic realms to the kingdom of the creation seed point. So the seraphim, Sophianic angelic emanation of this. And she also brings forth the fragmented Tiamat bodies of identity as well. And so I did actually speak about this on my website. So if you go to my website, indigoangel222.com, and you go to my blog. So if you go here, go to my blog archive, you'll see that down here in the Hydra's Rebirth, I wrote this article on this back in 2019. It says it's an 8-minute read, but it basically goes into all of those templates and how it's interconnected. And this was something that Corky Cosmo had wrote up for me, and I actually made a little meme here, but she has a really great expression of Hydra here. So I'm going to go ahead and read it to you guys. She said, basically, Gaia and Uranus had lots of kids. Uranus despised them and banished them into the belly of Gaia. She didn't like her children being locked up and not free to experience life, so she devised a plan to release them. It's the Greek mythology, and we've been playing it out, the wars of their releasing for eons. Ophiuchus was put in Sagittarius to guard the galactic center from the serpent returning before she had cleared her shadows in this realm. Gaia's soul is in the galactic center from where chaos bore her and her primordial siblings. Now, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that part, but I'm just saying I don't feel that Gaia's soul is in the galactic center. But it goes on to say, when Atlantis fell is when the serpent was seen being strangled by Ophiuchus. It symbolized the control of the patriarchy. Hydra is Gaia. Hydra runs through the center of the earth. It's known in Asian countries as the dragon ley lines. They are the tunnels in which energy flows and connects as above, so below. The etheric ley lines we call the matrix grids are the medians and Gaia and the serpent, aka Hydra, is her kundalini energy within Gaia's form. She is within and rising with every moment of volcanoes, tectonic plates, and geysers. That's Hydra's rising. And I really like what Corky Cosmos said about that. So, that's why I kind of wrote it up and put it on here. But it definitely does define Hydra very much in her Tiamat form, and also as the soul essence of Gaia as well. Now, ultimately, I am going to talk to you guys about, where Hydra came from. And I don't feel like it was from the galactic center, like I said, but essentially, she was here long before the galactic core in the Hydra Centaura super colossal cluster. So if you guys were to look at Laniakea systems, let me pull this up really quick. Oh, here's another article I wrote. So you can actually read about Laniakea on my website. I forgot about this, but I did write about the immeasurable races from the super colossal cluster nations. This would be the cosmic womb. This is really what we're connecting to today with this as well. Hydra is very deeply connected to this. This is a very good article to read as well. And I kind of go into the nations from the colossal cluster systems, at least the ones that I could identify within this universal nation. And so the Hydra super colossal cluster would be the snake, squid, octopus founder nation. It's the Hydra Centaurus. So these are actually hybrid beings in the cosmos, the serpent centaurs. And I did actually put a video out about that. So I'll leave a link in the description about the serpent centaurs, but this would be some of the more primordial forms of the Hydra system as we get closer to the heart of Laniakea, essentially. But let's see if I can find a map of the Hydra super colossal cluster, so you guys can see what I am talking about. It's interesting. When you look that up, my logo comes up. Maybe it's here. If we can get a bigger picture of it. Okay, so I do not see it there. Let me see if you can find a better image of this. Okay, here it is, guys. So this is the Hydra Centaurus supercluster. It's right here, and it's very close to the Virgo supercluster. Now, if you were to define the Laniakea systems, these systems are actually at the heart of the Laniakea systems, which is a transmission station that does go through the Ring of Fire in the Earth grid vortex there. So that's where the transmissions are coming through from Laniakea, is into Hawaii, essentially. So Hydra is very important. Like I said, she represents the eternal raw realm of feminine truth. She's working in the limitless light realms, right? These are realms of light that have no law. And her existence was eternal before shadow existed, before chaos came into being. So that's why I can disagree with that statement of saying that her soul came from chaos. She was not born from chaos. That is another misconception. In the statement that actually chaos is bad. Chaos really does carry that 13th dimensional frequency template. And it is actually our innate natural state of being to have functioning chaos, right? And you can kind of see this when you go to other countries that maybe are not as controlled by the Aquila networks or the Aquilan grids, or just the patriarchy control grids, essentially, or the beast machines of the earth. But they are living in a more chaotic, free state where there are less rules, but yet there is still flow. Okay, that's kind of like this mother principle of flow. It's a very tolerating and inherent, natural, receptive, and giving state of existence, essentially. But Hydra eternally sits on the other side of creation, right? Because this is her origination comes from a totally expanded place within the cosmos. So she sits on the other side of creation, the side that mankind has not been allowed to access because of the jealous God patriarchy implants into the grids. This is why her body upholds portals that go directly to the supercolossal clusters in Laniakea, to the heart of the cosmic womb. She is like the cosmic womb command center that runs global womb networks that hold Sophianic, seraphim, Tiamat, and Black Madonna templates. Okay, and if I go back to my, I think if I go back to to this, I do talk about this more in this article here on my website. So Hydra holds those portal systems directly to the supercolossal clusters in Laniakea, to the heart of the cosmic womb that I talk about in this article here. The measurable races from the supercolossal clusters. Hydra is like the cosmic womb command center that runs global womb networks that hold Sophianic, seraphim, Tiamat, and Black Madonna templates. This is how she communicates, is through the organs of reproduction, through the organ of creation, through the organ of fertility. And she does this by generating electrical imprints of prophecy to the unborn children. Okay, and to the organic grid and to the organic biology. She works within the ovary. She works within the uterus. Okay, this is how she communicates. This is a part of the portal access through the body. If you're going to use interdimensional organic organisms to access these portal structures through your interdimensionality, through your inner ability to navigate dimensions. And so many connected to this intelligence, the will of this intelligence, download directly through their psychic womb association. And the womb is a cosmic gauge that's linked directly to the solar feminine aspect of Christ, the solar feminine logos. And in between creation cycles, right? In between a woman's cycle, the womb is working to do more than just that. The womb is working to remove earth toxins. The womb is working to give the divine feminine a sense in which to see and feel and experience the global earth traumas and poisons. Okay, it's all coming through our DNA. It's all coming through our blood. And the womb holds that. The womb absorbs that and decodes those toxins, decodes those poisons, and sends those imprints and impulses to the feminine Messiah, to the feminine God technology of the earth. And so this is us as women, why we feel sick within our wombs when things are happening to the earth. We feel the pain body of the earth through our wombs, and we can very much know exactly what's going on with the earth according to our cycles. Okay, so this is not just a lunar matrix association. This is very much also a cosmic association, a Hydra association, a Sophianic association, through the Grail descendancy of our Mary Magdalenes and our Isises and our Sophias. And the womb also works to bring forth the next prophets and messiahs through birth records that have been unattained by the draconic seals. Okay, the womb is kind of 10 steps ahead of this evolution, and it's our go-to to overcome things like the draconic seals and the forced interbreeding programs and the seals of confession and the jab and the NWO and all of these things, right? This is the womb is what will overcome the corruption ultimately. And like I told you guys in that last update, I was seeing that the next Messiah is, I'm predicting, I'm feeling, I'm seeing psychically that it is to be a woman, unless for some reason society doesn't outgrow the phase of patriarchal monotheism, where one idol is held as the only communicator to the divine for collective human spiritual revolution. Okay, and that's something that I feel is it's in a transition at this time. I do feel that the scales are tipping here, and the consciousness globally is radically shifting here. This idea of a female messiah, these words came to me, they were whispered to me as I scanned and remote viewed into the Golden Gate in Jerusalem. I seen the emanation of a Sophia goddess standing in that gate. And so it's like her energy is already there. And every time that we come around through the Lion's Gate, that's being manifested. It's being brought into the physical. She is a beauty. She is the largest constellation out of all 88 constellations. She's the largest in the sky. But yeah, so essentially Hydra was here before the Yaldabaoth came into being, okay, in Gnostic teachings. I place Hydra in this story of Sophia. I place Hydra in this story of these different divine feminine templates because she was eternal. Hydra she represents the eternal consciousness. Therefore, she was the continued point of eternal Sophia wisdom that is carried on between the end and the beginning. She is a link to the universal grand heart central sun and is the guardian of the 9th and the 13th earth gateway here on this planet. Okay, so it's important to understand how she is the expression of the 13th gateway. I really do feel that Hydra's frequency down in this gate site in Sarasota, Florida is what is protecting the corrupted decoy Atlantis area. Okay, it's like its truth isn't too far off, right? Like it's the depth of its interconnection, the depth of this collective human drama, the core essence of it. It's not too far off from where we see a lot of things happening in a location where it is being gaslighted, or it's being essentially covered up, or it's being where there's like a veil or an illusion or a disillusion that has been fabricated. Okay, the truth is always not too far off. And so that's what I feel that Sarasota gate site is doing down there, is it is keeping in the core essence of the drama that needs to be resurrected, not too far from the locations where they're hijacking certain identities and aspects of things and placing implants into the grids. So Hydra's highest expression emanates through the Sophianic seraphim here in the angelic realm. The Sera is the serpent encoding. And this is also an expression of the solar feminine Christ. Like I said, this comes through the Mary Magdalene Rose Grail lines, the goddess Isis, the golden chalice, Eve and the original sin in the Garden of Eden, and Sophia, the seraphim archangel. It also comes through the Black Madonna and the fragmented dark mother templates like Tiamat, Venus, Kali, Lilith, Medusa. They are all an expression of this. These are all goddesses of light and dark that came forward through the variations of this radial identity. And they represent a sisterhood of God feminine emanations, serving this eternal wisdom, who is considered the sacred crystal heart rose. And this is an actual cosmic structure that is in the cosmos. There is a sacred crystal heart celestial rose that it's like the statue for this emanation of feminine consciousness, logos consciousness. This means that all goddesses existing throughout time space to the seraphim Sophianic template within the Hydra radial identity, right? And also within the Syrian identity to some degree as well, will carry the same reality manifold manifest sequences to play out in their lifetime. So that means that it's like an inner lining of manifest destiny time markers in a subconscious shared experience, but also it's becomes inverted to represent the equal opposition in the individual shared experience, essentially, of projected life experiences here on Earth that are encoded to break the Sophianic code in the matrix until the universal core drama ceases to exist. And that's kind of what I was trying to explain about the Sarasota Stargate being so close to the Bermuda, is that it's encoded to exist in a space that it is observing. It is taking the ramifications or the brunt force of the attacks and carrying that encryption until the core drama ceases to exist. This might take plate tectonic shifting on Earth to actually reinstall the original Mother God technology into the Earth grids. Okay. Archangels like Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Sophia, Isis, etc., these extremely luminous angels, their main role here is to ensure that the celestial principles play out. Okay, because all of these emanations within this causal perspective, within the universal perspective, are going back to a radial identity at its core. Okay, and the Hydra principle is to reinstall this feminine God technology. But first, we do have to eradicate the dark and evil forces by uninstalling them. We have to uninstall that technology. And it is up to us divine feminines to do that, because we are the interceptors. That is the goddess Anza. She is the interceptor. And so we must remove them. And those dark and evil forces really are just a symptom of something mightier than shadow. Okay. It's like a force field before you get to limitless light. It's an implant before you get to limitless light. And it is very nasty. It is the core frequency of envy. It's the core frequency of jealousy. And the solar feminine Christ comes through the Hydra system, especially when it's overlapping the head of the lion. Okay. And that is blasting the grids right now, you guys, blasting the grids. And so that's really what's clearing this density right now that we have felt, this tumultuousness that we have felt. It's the Sophianic template. Now that alignment with Regulus overlapping Hydra, that alignment is held responsible for birthing the demiurge. And I've talked about that. It is in the Gnostic teachings, but this was something I also just seen on the map. If you've ever seen the picture of the demiurge, let me show you what the demiurge looks like. Okay, so this is what it looks like. This lion head with the serpent tail. So it's this lion head with this serpent tail. Okay, and astrologically, that is the alignment of Regulus overlapping, the Regulus head overlapping the Hydra. It's the hybridized demiurge. And Sophia has been held responsible for birthing the demiurge. Sophia has been held responsible for birthing the Yaldabaoth, the jealous god. And the jealous god is held responsible for birthing the archons. And so that's what we were talking about on the Jean-Claude show when we brought up the link to share on the origins of the world, but essentially it goes into all of the explanation of this. And it's held responsible for this because Sophia chose to create here without her masculine counterpart. That's why she's held responsible. Okay. But again, this goes back prior to Gnostic teachings. This is one perspective of a form of Christianity, essentially, that has kind of taken a stance to kind of speak on behalf of Sophia, but again, projecting this tainted version of it to the world. And it's just another manipulation within the gnosis of the Gnostics to demonize feminine god technology. Many divine feminines right now, because of these fragmentations within the Earth's grids, because of these fragmentations within the feminine god technology, because of the fragmentations and suppression and demonization within the Hydra template, within the Sophianic template, within the Sophia code, within the Mary Magdalene injustices, all of this, right? Many divine feminines are experiencing a lot of extreme physical symptoms in the reproduction system. Okay, I did talk about this a little bit, but essentially what that looks like is because many divine feminines right now that are carrying that encoding to break down the desecration of the Sophianic code in the matrix, right? A lot of many divine feminines are experiencing extreme physical symptoms in their reproduction system within their womb, because all of this is so deeply connected to the cosmic womb networks, the mother god womb networks, the Sophianic womb networks, all of these things, the Hydra system, that have been labeled to come through lunar technology, like I said, also coming through these other aspects of cosmic celestial womb awareness, essentially. And so many divine feminines right now may be experiencing extreme physical symptoms in their reproduction system that exacerbate the quantum experiences of the eternal feminine truth. Women who are embodied genetically along these lines may have the brunt and most extreme cases of womb symptoms. They may be struggling with infertility issues. They may be struggling with cancers and diseases of the uterus. Okay, they may be struggling with extreme cycles. And I mean where your cycle is bleeding way too long. Like you should have only bled for 4 days, but you bled for like 8 days. Okay. Causing anemia or causing, some sort of distortion of iron in the blood. Okay. Or having severe cramps, right? Having severe pain, like the pain, the universal pain of the earth, the universal pain of the desecration of the Sophianic template will be coming through the womb. So having extreme pain in the cycles, feeling like their womb is literally toxic, being able to psychically decode the toxins within their womb as blood accumulates within their fertility cycle. Okay, feeling polluted, feeling sick, feeling like you can taste the chemtrails from your womb, feeling like you can taste the nano shedding from the jabs in your womb. Okay, we're holding all of this. We're cleaning the earth as we're doing this, by the way. Okay, this is why it's important for us to actually bleed back into the earth, because it is a reverse reverberation system that actually energetically gives those codes back to the greater 13th dimensional sphere and consciousness and intelligence field, the race within the race morphogenetic field of the planet. And all of this is happening, like I said, because of the Sophianic body desecration at the core of the central drama of our universe. This plays out within our cycles. This is the closest thing to the future here on Earth. Okay. And there's no other drama like this one existing. This drama makes galactic warfare look like a constant symptom of the true sickness that's festering in the grids from the core God drama, fragmentation, and the unspoken and forgotten. And how, dare I say, the deepest wound. This is the deepest wound. The Sophianic body desecration, just like the Hindu temple desecration in India, where the Nagas mostly live globally, began in Gnostic teachings by labeling solar feminine Christ responsible for the birth of the jealous God. Okay, this is like, it's so inverted and so distorted, it's not even funny. It's not even funny. This is like creating a story that wants to label eternal Sophianic wisdom responsible for the fall of the Garden of Eden. So then those stories turn around and then try to label a feminine god actually responsible for creating a bad god. So it's like they couldn't get away with it in that story. So they go and try to get away with it in another story, create another story to try to, again, blame everything that's wrong back on the feminine. It's just retarded. It's kind of sickening, honestly. It's honestly about taking no accountability or responsibility whatsoever. Which is very, prevalent in the egoic shadow aspect of God expression. And they also say that the fall of Atlantis wouldn't have happened if the Sophianic body wasn't desecrated. Okay. The fall of man in the collective subconscious shared experience on Earth that emanates from that metagalactic core gateway of the Eye of Sahara, the original Atlantis. None of this would have happened if Sophia was given more illumination. That the feminine god technology would have been held in place to stabilize the running masculine god technology, which I do feel is the universal tree of life 12 tree grid. So the sciences came through patriarchal institutions of masculine gods. If you really look at the beginning points of the universal tree of life, now I'm not saying that's not a natural geometric structure in the Earth's grids, but it has been taken over by patriarchal mathematics. And that's because they run a 12-12 electrical code tree as the primary tree. Okay, they do not push a 13-13 Sophianic tree. Okay, that's something that I talk about on my website in my AMP session. Is I bring forth the 13-13 Sophianic tree. I bring forth the 13-13 universal tree of life template, because that is the core. That is the closest to God's signature. Okay, that is the seraphim. We say heros gamos, right? We try to make this 12-12 tree an androgynous template. Okay, but it's not. Mathematically, it's not. 12-12 is the electrical masculine code. Okay, anything even represents masculine, and everything odd represents feminine. Okay, and it's also depending upon the spheres and grid points it sinks into too. So it's also limiting in the 12 tree grid the core fundamental stargates that would host that feminine code. So we may want to consider the 12 tree grid masculine, since also because many remote viewers were now seeing the hourglass in the center of the stargates and grid matrices as well. So it's almost like the hourglass has came forward through that template in the Earth's grids to, and it's coming over top, and it's coming through that universal tree of life and through the stargates. Okay, it's coming through to show that they have tinkered with the solar feminine god technology on Earth by spreading these dark mother reversals into the grids and dishonoring the hourglass technology. So what they do, guys, is they go and they clone and they replicate through the lunar matrix and the beast machines, which I do believe I found the core technology to the beast machine in my last Atlantis Cosmic Grid update. So I will leave a link in the description for that. I don't really define it as this in the update, but you can see how I go through the initiation point, the generating point, the miniature brain aspect of it, all the way to the decoy aspect of it. Okay, and how that's, keeping a lot of systems in place on the Earth. And I feel like I found the power generator of this, which is the Kaaba. Okay. They're overriding the Earth's organic frequency and feminine technology through anti-clockwise spins and propagating that through the Bermuda, which, like I said, I felt is an Atlantis decoy system to black hole systems that feeds into places like the Well of Yemen or the Well of Barthut. which is considered the well of hell. So I just want to give a shout out to Matthew Basanti for kind of giving me some information on the well of Yemen, because I wasn't aware of that until he sent that to me. So thank you so much. But these are advanced AI planetary grid technologies that I feel may be even beyond what the Dracos and the Anunnakis are doing here on Earth. I don't want to just blame them, because these technologies are extremely advanced. Okay, they're extremely advanced. I don't want to blame the Pegasus systems, but there is definitely something really fishy going on there through the Montauk projects and through the Pegasus spyware programs. I used to see a lot of the light aspects of the Pegasus systems through the advancement of interplanetary exploration, but essentially, I've been seeing it now more as the main hub for AI development. And it's interesting because, you know, China has a lot of horse symbolism, Pegnusian symbolism, you know, everywhere all over the world has Pegnusian symbolism, essentially, particularly Dallas, Texas. And it's interesting, if you go to one of sacred locations or an energy vortex in Dallas location called the Pegasus Plaza, they have the concentric circle symbolism here at this place. I have some pictures of it. I may do an update on it at some point. I got to gather all of the things I've collected. This has really come through Kimberkiss and also a dear friend. His name is Chad. But they've been kind of giving me this symbolism for a long time. Like, look at this, look at this. I couldn't decode it at the time because it was just too much information was coming in. But, you know, there's definitely something within that you know, may be very connected to this beast machine technology on the earth as well, that I need to kind of tie in at some point. I do know that China is definitely working with the creator who took down the Sophianic template, because they literally designed their first AI robot, Sophia, and they're literally trying to install that robot with cosmic consciousness to basically have this robot start leading higher consciousness meditations. I am not okay with that, like on any level. We're going to let some robot start guiding meditations for higher consciousness named Sophia after the desecration of the Sophia feminine god technology. Like, they're out of their minds. Either way, it's basically enforcing planetary technology abuse, in which they tend to try to destroy this organic mother principle. So you can see that through what China's doing through that AI robot, Sophia, through this AI robotics, okay, and a whole other list of stuff, and is ways that you can see it going on the earth. They're basically trying to prevent the full embodiment of the solar feminine. They are trying to prevent Hydra's truth of creation. The fact that the serpent in the garden of Adam and Eve was actually trying to prevent them from the harm of the jealous version of God and the God who created the archons. Okay, but again, like I said, they inverted it, and you know, that story didn't work for a while. So now we have the Gnostic story to try to again go place that blame on Sophia. They're trying to prevent the elimination of the organic mother principle. Again, that's why our cycles are getting so bad. I mean, I'm definitely someone who suffers from this. I am, in terms of my reproduction cycles, my system has gone haywire since 2013. 2013, my hormones have been losing their mind, basically. You want to talk about the adult acne? I get a lot of crap on my channel for having adult acne, but it's honestly something that I can't control. So everyone who's kind of given me crap about that, I just want to basically tell you to like kiss my butt, because it's a part of the evolutionary ascension that's happening within my body. And that is from the attacks on my reproduction and my hormone system. Okay. And I know a lot of other divine feminines are suffering from this in a lot of different ways. It has to do with how they're attacking the womb. I've talked about the Vatican seals. You can check out the video that I put out about the Draco Aryan occultist seals, where they are attacking through the Vatican seal and the causal and tying this down to our fallopian tubes. Okay. this is because this fragmentation has scorned humanity for their ignorance. Okay. And it still hasn't been shifted, this taint or the image of evil off of the solar feminine Sophianic body, the seraphim or the serpent, the desecration of the Sophianic body. And this really has accumulated what is called dead energy or dead miasmic energy. It's like loosh that basically builds up in the destructive and the cataclysmic events on the earth, in the stairway to heaven, in the earth geometry, in the underground cities, in the inner earth cities, and in the biological womb zones, the cosmic womb zones of the body. Okay, so again, therefore, it attacks our reproductive system first and foremost. It assists lower field beings in domination, oligarchy, and hierarchy structures and law, aka Draco Anunnaki low frequency hybrids. It assists them with implanting motherhood hooks in the 9th dimensional fields where Hydra comes into the grid system celestially. She comes up underneath our feet. She comes up through the 2nd density gateway, up through the Sarasota, Florida gateway. She comes up through the 9th dimensional field in the biology that opens to the 2nd density. Okay. I've literally seen these hooks here, and I've seen them in several divine feminines. Many mothers carrying these hooks and wounds. Many mothers present to me that are being down energetically. Now, they might not feel that way. They may feel like they're healing. They may feel they're doing everything they can to regain their prosperity and their abundance and their spiritual health. And they are doing these things. I want you to know that. I fully see that. But I also see this dark cloud of abuse that cannot be pulled out of their soul signature. Okay. They may have healed, they may have recovered, they may have cleaned up their wounds, they may have, and I'm not saying by slapping a band-aid over it, okay? But you cannot pull that wound of that hook and the motherhood hook. It is so deep. It is creatorial within the human energetic signature, which means that it actually cannot heal. It is a wound that cannot heal. Okay, very much like creatorial impact structures in the earth. Those will never change the body of the earth. It can overgrow over the crater impact. It can overgrow, right? Earth can kind of come back and flourish over top of it. But that creatorial impact will never, ever be non-existent. It's fragmented in the earth material body. Okay, and that's what those motherhood hooks and wounds do into the 9th dimensional field, primarily in those who were victimized in the Draco forced breeding programs. Okay, this is mostly Hydra Pleiadians and Pleiadian templates, Rose Grail line genetics, Isis and Black Madonna genetics that will hold this motherhood hook and wound. And how they really do this stuff is they basically try to eradicate the mother's involvement, and they try to kill and they try to gene splice her genetics and pull her memory templates from the offspring to keep the offspring in the same vicious cycle going. Okay, it's messed up stuff that they're doing here. And I could really get into all of that. And I actually want to get into all of that at some point. That is a video that I really want to get into. This also affects our gender identities, gender roles, transgender distortions that we have going on globally on the earth. You see a lot of men wanting to be women. Yeah, this is distorting all of that. This is affecting the seed atoms in the crystal heart matrices as well. Those are also under our feet, okay, about 10 inches below our feet in the going into the Earth's crystal matrix. It's affecting this here. So when this starts getting implanted and starts getting fragmented and starts getting attacked from the breakage of the Sophianic body, from the desecration of the Sophianic body, you can really kiss those blissful twin unions goodbye, right? You can't uphold twin unions on a broken crystal matrix below your feet. You can kiss fifth dimensional incarnates from Terran systems goodbye too. Okay, those soul groups are going to have a very hard time incarnating here because of that. A lot of those souls are being hosted in the Shala systems right now, and they have a very, very hard time incarnating here at this time. And I feel like it does have something to do with that. What you can expect is more electromagnetic weaponry, geoengineering of the Earth, Sun, and Mars. Okay, intentional direction of cataclysmic events. Okay, so they're directing cataclysmic events to happen. They want to basically disallow high frequency from generating in the ley line currents. Okay, so that's what the beast machine does, that technology. They want to prevent certain areas of the grids intentionally from having the grid mechanics and technology to ascend. Okay, so they keep certain areas in the grid intentionally in descending cycles, particularly in the Trinity Gate sites. Okay, so I actually seen this in Malibu Beach, California, and I haven't seen it in Manhattan, but I do believe that's another one of the locations that they're purposely keeping it in a descension cycle. They also want to make humans believe that the destruction of nature is from an ecocide, that it's from human neglect. Okay, when they know damn well that it's from the spreading of the dead energy blockages from killing the feminine god technology to purposely generate barren landmass that's been scorched by fire or cataclysm or climate event. They have used the Sophia blueprint and they have replicated it into the fallen and dogmatic systems to run antichrist reversals into the ley lines. And the fallen Solomon and Metatronic and Yahweh systems emerged from the dead miasma. Okay, so that was a lot. I know. Thank you for sticking with me. You guys are amazing. But this is just the raw truth. It's the raw truth. It's coming up from the Hydra system. Those of us who are encoded to the Hydra radial template as Hydra starseeds will be continuously pulling the depth of this raw information forward as we work through the Hydra system, because as we work through the tail of Hydra, we will decode everything on a level of our DNA all the way until we get to the tail end of its encryption. And so this raw, eternal feminine truth will continue to reveal itself. And so I'm looking forward to doing that with you guys. I hope you're down with this shenanigans. And I love you all so much. Thank you for listening to this energy update today. And I will be back with another video and cosmic blessings, and have a beautiful everything.